right. All right, so we have Eliza, Mary. Hi, Mary. Nice to meet you. Chi, Elias. Nice to meet you. And if I mispronounce anybody's name, just let me know. David, how you doing? Andra, am I saying that right? Andra? Right, one of them, okay. Nicole, nice to meet you. Hannah, good to see you. And let's see, we got some people not on video. Let's see, Holly. Looks like that's it, I think. If I miss you, just let me know. So, for those of you that haven't met me face to face, I'm Andrew. I'm the author of this book. This is why we're here, Awaken to Your True Self. How many of you in this call haven't read the book? Okay, one. Great. Did you get through the foundationals course? Great. Perfect. Excellent. Cool.
Read about three quarters, so and I started the foundational stuff, but I didn't finish it yet.
Oh, who's talking?
Holly,
Oh, okay. Hi, Holly.
hi.
All right, great. So, oh, someone else is coming in. David's clone. All right. So my intention for this group was to have community around this work. There's a few of you that I've worked with personally or have read the book and have been like, this is great. Where's everybody else? Excuse me. So this is this isn't everybody else, but it's a start, and we have to start somewhere. And I think having this material in the book and in the foundationals course is a great thing to come around. I felt that having material, concepts, ideas that we could all come around together and have community, that felt a lot better than just coming around listening to me talk. So in the beginning, I plan to lead and to facilitate these conversations. This is going to be very laid back. If you've ever worked with me, it might sound a little different than how we normally would have it. But this is really about you guys. I want to create this space and have an opportunity for all of you to show up, to connect with each other. If I just disappear and you guys all just have a wonderful time, great. That is fine with me. I won't, but my intention is to have you guys meet other people that are talking about this stuff. Other people that say how you do one thing is how you do anything. Other people that know shadow material. Other people that when you say Bob's ladder, they're like, hey, I know Bob. Because this work is kind of weird. It's kind of different. It's very intense. Those of you who have not met me and have just read the book or the foundationals course, this is not necessarily for beginners. This is very advanced stuff. It may not seem like that. A lot of people come in and they're like, hey, I've been doing this for years. Yeah, I'll do the shadow work. And then they have a session and I don't know if they have less trauma or more trauma after that first session. But a lot of people get a lot of value from the cinesomatic work. But what I would like to start off with in these calls, at least this first call, if you would like to, you're more than welcome to. If you don't want to, you can just sit back and not. But because this is community-based, I'd like to go around the room, introduce ourselves, where you're from. I got a bunch of your introductions on the community, but if you just want to have your voice and connect and what brings you here, what you might be looking out of this. I don't know. I'm just uh, opening this space up. If everyone has an energy that leads us to a certain way, we'll go with it. Otherwise, I think starting with introductions, at least this first time, and getting into some concepts of the book. If people have questions, we will go straight to questions, answering. Keep in mind, this is not coaching or facilitation, but if something comes up, I may give some just general guidance if you want it. Otherwise, I think following that flow, following that energy, will create discussions. If you want to talk, you just talk. You are an adult, and we will participate and see how it goes. So, without any further monologue, whoever wants to go first, you can sort of self-select, introduce yourself, how you found me in this work, and what you're looking to get from this community. And just unmute yourselves.
Hey, I'm Elias. I'm in Los Angeles. Can you all hear me okay? Okay, great. I'm in Los Angeles. I've done some work with one of Carl's students named Brian Bagan, and we had done some recorded eye gazing work, and he talked about you a handful of times. So I've just been following you kind of peripherally, and I was really excited that you started the group up. So. I've wanted to work with you for a while. And then just going through that foundations recording was wonderful. Like the things you say in there, and I've just ordered the book, but so much is packed into sentences that sound like things I've heard before, but don't hit in that way. And it's really sick. So thank you.
Great. Thank you. Brian's great. It's good to have you here.
I'll jump in. It's nice to meet you, Andrew. I got your book weirdly, like it came up on Amazon when I was buying something else. And I saw the title and I was like, this book looks amazing. And I'm Andra. I live in Pasadena, which is near Los Angeles or part of LA County. I'm a psychologist by trade. And so when I read this book, I was, yeah, I saw so much in it from what I see every day, and it really helped me awaken. It just really, it's an incredible book, but it's big and it's a lot and it is advanced. So I've been kind of just pulling from it as needed. I mean, I love that you're reading excerpts from it too, because it's really good to go back and revisit it. I mean, you could read it 100 times and get different things every time. So, yeah, I'm just really happy to be here and to connect with like-minded people that this resonated with, and to learn more from you directly, which is a real privilege to work with an author, especially one that you aligns with their work. A lot of times I've met authors and you meet the author and you love the book, but the author is not quite measuring up. So your authenticity is really lovely. And thank you for organizing this.
Thank you. Thank you for being here and the work you do helping people.
Yeah, thank
and
you.
I like your tapestry in the back.
My tapestry, yeah, thank you. Thank you. And I may have to jump off around 5:30, so if I disappear, that's why, but I'll watch the recording and hopefully
Great.
be able to stay full time next time.
Great, thank you.
I'll go. Hi, everyone. My name is Chi. I'm in New York, and I read the book about a year ago. And same thing with you, Andra. I found it on Amazon. It came up as a suggestion, and I thought it looked great, so I bought it. And I think I was about 3 chapters in, and I was like, "This guy knows what he's talking about. I should see if he works with people one-on-one." And so I actually signed up for an assessment even before I finished reading the book, and it was like shockwaves through my system. Shockwaves through my system. And so I continued to work with Andrew for 6 months virtually, and then I did an intensive after that. And then I've been on my own for about a year now, and I've been on my own for about a year now. And it's still going great. But it definitely feels like the community would be really helpful, and to keep it front of mind and keep the integrity of the work in my life. And so that's why I'm here, to continue growing and expanding. And my business is a reflection of my inner work, and I can see that I'm stuck somewhere. So I'm here to be unstuck as well.
Good to have you here. Look forward to you leading us in some ways.
It feels really good in here. Everyone's presence is really alive, and I'm loving the intention. So I'm Eliza Kavanaugh. Andrew, you came and talked to my online community, and a few of my friends consulted with you one-on-one and had their minds blown. Well, actually, that might be an understatement. It was sort of like there's a kind of shattering that goes on. And so I came to see you, and I felt really, really deeply and clearly seen. So I had read the book at that point. I do go back to the book. And I'm still seeking, I'm kind of an odd case. There's like a bunch of kind of normal human stuff that like somehow didn't end up applying. So I'm still trying to figure out how to make it interface with my deal, because I also am experiencing a sense of being blocked. So I'm, again, just absolutely delighted to be able to kind of be in proximity with you and with people who are working your deal. I have a feeling this will help a lot. So.
Great. Yeah, I remember our session. That was very intense. So I'm surprised you're here, actually, pleasantly surprised. And it's great that it didn't scare you off too much, and it was helpful. So thank you for your courage to keep showing up.
I'll go next. My name is Mary. I am in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And I'm a Jungian spiritual and psychedelic coach. And now it's like not an original thing to admit, but I found your book on Amazon.
Guys, this is not Alcoholics Anonymous. It's Amazon's okay.
The algorithm found me, I
Yeah.
guess. So it's a pleasure to meet you. It's a real honor to meet you and to be here with all of these like-minded folks. I also found that so much in the book resonated with me both personally and professionally. It's a lot of it is, stuff that I do work with my clients around. But there were definitely, and still were and are, places in the book where it shifted my own perspective. I was able to see myself more clearly. And so I am, like I said in the group, going through it for a second time now. Because I think the first time I just wanted to kind of like inhale it all. You know what I mean? So I was like, yes, just going through it really fast. And so now I'm taking my time and going back through it a second time. And so the timing for this group is perfect, because I always get so much more out of anything by listening to other people's perspectives and hearing other people's questions and realizing that those were my questions as well. So I look forward to getting to know all of you.
Thank you for joining us.
I'll go ahead.
share. Oh,
No, you go ahead. Sorry.
okay. Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm in Nashville, and I'm a hypnotherapist, and I discovered Andrew's book and work almost 2 years ago, and started with the book
and loved the book, really resonated with all of the teachings in it, and then began the work and was a little traumatized initially. But ultimately really found a lot of value in it, and it has tremendously changed both my work with my clients and also just every way in which I see the world and move through the world. So it's impacted me profoundly, and I'm very excited to just be connecting with other people that also speak this language and kind of understand this approach, because it is so different. I have felt a bit like socially, like there's been a disconnect between what I'm learning and evolving into and everyone else in my life. So I'm excited to connect and grow with you all.
Thank you for joining us. And what you said, your feedback was one of the pieces that was like, okay, maybe, all right, how many times does someone got to knock on the door to say, let's do this? So, yeah, having people around us that can speak this language, that can see and feel, and just to know that we're not alone in this, and that itself, I think is a really important piece of this work that I didn't quite understand, that community nourishment aspect, because this is growth for me too. This is the first real well, I've had communities, but not really, because there's nobody in them. But this is the first time I've really offered a space for this, and so I think community and nourishment, especially around trauma and healing and awakening and spirituality, that's in a very grounded and authentic kind of way, is very helpful, especially if we don't have people around us like this. So thank you for sharing, Hannah. Welcome.
I could go next if that's okay. Hi, my name's Nicole. I'm from Central Valley, California, and actually
where specifically?
Specifically Oakdale, California. Yeah, a little ways from Bakersfield, but close enough to drive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually found the book, yes, on Amazon as well. I was going through some pretty crazy anxiety, and kind of kept me housebound actually for a bit. So I actually found the book in 2022, and it's been kind of a crazy journey since then. But I kind of echo what Hannah said, where I've gotten back to work, and my industry is real estate, and it's very socially, and just the environment, it's almost just like alien, I guess is the best word I could use, where I just feel like I just don't fit in the same way that I used to anymore. And so that's kind of why I'm here. I'm still kind of searching. I reference the book. I've been through it on audio probably 7 times, maybe more.
I think you hold the record.
And I literally have an entire book where I'm going through and just done the exercises. So it's been my reference point
That's
for
amazing.
these last 2 years. And so when this popped up, I was like, oh my gosh, I think this is kind of a calling. And I don't usually do community stuff or put myself out there. So this is like super, this is a lot for me. So yeah. So thank you for doing this, and thank you for everybody. It feels good to be here. So thanks.
Well, it's great to have you here.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. All right, David.
I'm the last one. So I'm David. I'm from Deerfield, Illinois, which is near Chicago. Um, I've always been kind of like a spiritual seeker. So the first, I guess, person who really resonated was probably J. Krishnamurti. He's someone who has kind of explored non-duality. And it also kind of led me to Martin Ball, who kind of also professes that. And I heard a podcast with Andrew, and I thought that was, that really also piqued my interest. Um, I've always kind of suffered with social anxiety. I always had kind of like an avoidant life as well. And, probably, well, with Martin Ball, I think he did help me a lot. But then, I think one of the things that I was really missing is like the feedback piece that Andrew's talking about, the cinesomatics, just seeing like the stuff that I can't see that I'm doing that other people probably see. Um, but there's a lot of stuff I love in the book, especially like the humanity is your divinity. I really think that's awesome. Mostly I hear about how you have to transcend your sinful ways and things like that.
Yeah, didn't you know?
There's another thing that really resonated with me, and can't think of it right now. I mean, just the fact that, I guess the narcissism piece as well. The fact that you're making, at least I do, I tend to make things about myself, and it just gets in the way of like enjoying and like just partaking in certain situations. So I think that was powerful.
Great. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for the courage. If you're going through that kind of high, your first day at school, anxiety, I really appreciate your willingness to be on camera and speak up and share. So thank you for joining us. This is a place where it's okay to do it wrong and find out and figure it out and show up in new ways. So thank you. It's good to have you here. And let me check. Let's see. Holly, are you still here? Would you like to introduce yourself on audio? Or are you good?
Yeah, I can. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm a sex therapist and a marriage and family therapist. And I think I've had kind of some of the beginnings of your journey, as in, I've tried so many things and kind of still feel like my life isn't exactly the way that I would like for it to be. So I'm really challenging myself to show up. I'm very nervous in group settings, so I'm kind of trying to push myself to that growing edge of showing up and not overwhelm myself. So I do want to show up more fully in this group.
Great. Well, thank you for your courage to be here. You go at your own pace. This is a open group. And so we're here to support you. And whenever you want to take more steps, we'll be here for you. So thank you for joining. And did you say how you found the book? Or did I miss that?
I was actually doing research because I felt like I was looking for something, and then I read some of the descriptions and what you had on your description, which of course was on Amazon because why wouldn't it be? Really resonated with me, and then I kind of have been binge reading this book and want to go back and do more of the exercises and really delve into it more afterwards. But it's almost like I need that complete piece first. So,
got it. Great. It's good to have you here. Praise be to Amazon, I guess. All right. Well, thank you for introducing yourselves. Whew, we're here. All right. Well, let's start off. We got about a half an hour. Um, does anybody have any existing questions? You've read through the books. You've read through the book, um, or you've taken the course. What questions do you have? I think Q&A, in my experience, is fertile ground for amazing conversations. So actually, we got someone, I think, joining us. We might have one more here. But yeah, let's just, as Jay gets situated here, anybody have any questions about the book? Or implementing the book, or concepts, or what my favorite color is? Anything.
I had a question about nervous system regulation while going through some of the more challenging aspects of this work.
Okay, go for it.
So, as you're kind of delving into some of these things that are very uncomfortable to look at within ourselves, and getting feedback from people, um, is there anything that you could recommend as far as being able to regulate your nervous system when you're really going past that edge for yourself, for ourselves?
Yeah, it's an open-ended question. Are there any specific emotions, or can you? I don't know you or your situation. There's things like essential oils, flower remedies, you know, relaxing, magnesium. There's a whole bunch of stuff like that. Breathing, meditation, all that kind of stuff. But are there any particular things that you find that reoccur emotionally?
I think fear comes up a lot for me, and I don't know where the fear is coming from exactly. And I've found that somatic approaches tend to help me more than anything else as far as regulating that fear. But it definitely only reaches a certain point of, you know, regulating. So that's kind of been a struggle, I think, for me.
Are you in like chronic fight or flight?
Pretty close, yeah.
Do you have a lot of touch in your life? Are you held and touched? Do you have physical intimacy of any kind?
Not very much.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. So I don't know your current situation, um, but my feeling is if you can find safe, appropriate, trusting ways to actually be held. You need to get your nervous system to be able to trust the space. That's probably the biggest thing, is being able to trust yourself, your body, where you're at, the space, the environment enough to be able to relax into it. And that physical touch to just be able to drop all of the survival mechanisms. I think that is going to be huge. If you have people in your life that you can trust to touch you, it literally just rubbing your arms, your face, your head, just it can be completely platonic, probably better that way. If you have non-platonic sexual intimacy, that can be beneficial too if that allows you to feel safe and to relax. Some people aren't at the place for that to be. So just regular safe touch. If you don't have anybody, I mean that's kind of the best, because you that's going to help you trust the space. If you're not there yet, then doing that for yourself, starting to just touch yourself, like touch yourself, not touch yourself. But that can be helpful. That could be a good relaxer too, for personal intimacy. But a somatic meditation you can do could literally be just taking 15, 20 minutes a day and just, going through your body and just telling your body, right, it's safe, right? You can relax. Bringing your attention and your awareness to your body through touch. And another good way is through massage. So when I was very lonely and had nobody around me, just getting a regular massage, just to have someone touch me. And I struggled with that too because it felt very pathetic. It's like, oh my God, I literally don't even have anybody to hug me. I have to go pay somebody, not sexually inappropriately, but just to get some physical touch. So that also helped me work through kind of that shame and humiliation, which was helpful. That was my own story. But getting body work, getting massage, actually having somebody you trust can be very helpful.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. We have some comments, so you can check the chat. People have been just suggested some things. So thank you guys for your suggestions. You can take a read. Hi, Jay. Welcome.
Hey, Andrew, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Thank you. Sorry. Thank you for this. This is absolutely wonderful. I'm stoked, and I'm literally somatically and anyways going through the phase of starting to build my communities and reaching back out to some of my teachers and brothers and sisters along the way. So thank
Great.
you.
Well, while you got you on audio and video, we already went through introductions. But if you'd like to share a little bit about yourself, how you found me in this book and what you're looking for. You already shared what you're
Sure.
looking for. So
Yeah. I mean, I'm not even sure how the book came to me. I guess through the algorithm, as all the books fall into your
Amazon.
lap. Yes, exactly. And I looked at it and I'm like, I gotta try this. It just seemed right. And then interestingly enough, I had where I really knew I had a dream, a very vivid dream, and the character was wearing the cover of the book on his t-shirt. And that like totally like I knew this was the way. And it's so funny. As I'm going through these levels of awareness and stuff, because I'm like, oh, I got like, I did after the book and everything, and then working with Andrew. I did 3 sessions with Andrew, and I think you remember like the last one, it was just like, anyways, casting spells in Spain. And and all of this
Well, it's
truly
good that it's
magical
good we
thing.
didn't completely scare you away. So
No, yeah, exactly. No, that's perfect. And yeah, so I'm very happy to start figuring out how to communicate my things in a reasonable manner as the software upgrade comes online.
great. It's good to have you here.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you again. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. So I have a backup plan. Um, nobody has any questions. Is to do a reading.
I actually have a question, Andrew.
Yeah, go for it.
You're always talking about feeling, like feeling yourself, feeling the space, and feeling others. And I kind of struggle with differentiating between like my own noise and what comes from other people or other things. How do you actually? I think I've always struggled with that, just connecting with people.
There's a few questions in there. Let's pick one first.
Well, just differentiating your own noise from other people's, or feeling other people or the space.
Okay. Yeah. The first thing that comes to my mind is boundaries. How are your boundaries?
I would say I'm just pretty open and just easygoing. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's just how I describe myself.
Yeah. Is it hard or easy for you to say no and give people feedback, or are you more of a just whatever, no conflict,
Yeah, I was
easygoing?
definitely no conflict. I'm very aware of that, but that's something that I made a lot of progress. Right, I think I'm able to say no now, basically.
Okay. Yeah, so that would be my sense of first place to start with boundaries, because what's a boundary, right? A boundary is a separation line, right? It's not a
Mhm.
wall. It's not a wall. It's a line. So our skin is penetrable, right? That's not my skin. This is my shirt. My skin is penetrable, right? It's not a solid sheet of metal that doesn't let anything in. It does let things in, but it lets certain things in and certain things out. S but without a boundary, we just be this amorphous ocean. I mean, it would just be all of this. We couldn't be able to tell whose is what and what. So that question would lead me to say to explore boundaries, and not necessarily in the pop culture, pop psychology kind of boundaries, um, but more of like somatic. So when you can when you can learn where your boundaries are in relationship to the space, not even values, right? Not even other people's behaviors. Yeah, those are certain kind of boundaries we think about, but your relationship to the space. So this is multi-dimensional here. Did you? I did a somatic meditation on connecting with the space. Did you happen to see that one?
Yeah, I tried that one.
Okay, so how was that for you?
It wasn't it wasn't challenging really. I mean, just in the space itself. I think maybe my issue is more specifically with people, um, not so much just the space.
Okay, are you familiar with projection? Like
Hmm.
projecting onto people.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's just it's it'd be hard to really tell you for sure what's going on with you specifically, but to me boundaries seem like okay, well I know where I'm at in the space and I know where someone else is at, and this ties in with the feeling part, right? Feeling other people's stuff. How do I know what's mine or other people's? Well, having that boundary is going to first create that separation. Because let's say we're people pleasers, let's say we are empaths, and we're walking into a room, and it's like just overwhelming us because we don't know what's my stuff or their stuff or everything. And so the first step is to establish those boundaries. Once you then have that boundary, you'll be able to get a sense of self and other, and then other and self. And then once you have that, then resonance for me has been the tool. So what I mean by this is once you have boundaries and you know who you are first, right? You develop a sense of self, of what the flavor, the resonance of what your stories, what your emotions, what that is, what those are. And then you develop this muscle of attuning to yourself. Once you know your own frequency, sort of, whatever that means, other people's, you go into that sense, you say, all right, I'm feeling afraid. All right, what does my fear feel like in this situation? Does it feel exactly like this? Yes. Okay, well, maybe someone else's is activating mine, or this is mine. You walk into a space and you feel fear, and you find that resonance point, that reference point of your flavor of it, and you're like, no, this doesn't feel like my kind of fear, then that's a way to say, okay, that's somebody else's. So being able to have that boundary and then being able to feel the resonance or dissonance between emotions, I think is a good starting point for that.
Thank you.
Yep. A few people pop in here.
I've got a question
Yeah.
or a or a I guess an area that I would love us to dig more deeper into. And I love that David actually brought this up. Your humanity is your divinity. That also was one of the salient pieces from your work, was your humanity is your divinity. And in working with you one-on-one, what I was really able to see was the reason we judge, or the reason we don't feel like our humanity is our divinity, is because we're so tied up in our self-judgment, right? We judge everything that we're doing. At least I do, like judging everything. You know, the to-do list isn't getting done, and that's for me always a self-judgment. And releasing that has been such a liberation. And so I feel as though in the moment now where I'm stuck in terms of my business, I love that David just reminded me of this. I feel like I've kind of gone into a sort of self-judgment thing again, at least in response to my lack of progress, or the way that I'm performing in my business is just not what I thought it would be, right? Thought it would be. And so I guess looking for feedback here is how do we hold this concept of we're human and imperfect, and yet we are divine and perfect? Like, where is that in terms of showing up in the world? Like, how do we ground into the divinity part while being human, especially when we're exploring a new aspect of life?
Yeah. Well, I think the question you're asking itself doesn't come from that statement, because is an equal sign. You're still operating as an or in that question. Yeah. So you're it.
And yet I'm aware of my imperfections. So where's
What's the problem with your imperfections?
Oh, I really missed this. Is that it's persisting. You know, I'm okay with it just being like, okay, I recognize that this isn't going the way that I want to go, where I want it to go. I recognize that I'm not meeting whatever milestone that I've put up. Great. And it's persisting. So I'm stuck somewhere, and I'm just not really sure where the thread is. Like, where is the thread that I can pull here to help me? I see many, many things that I become aware of. It's just not actually helping me move forward or get unstuck.
Right.
Yeah.
Are you in a relationship with them, or do you want to fix them and get rid of them?
They don't bother me. And maybe that's the issue. It's like I see it, I'm just like, okay.
Okay, well, they don't bother you. Then what's the issue?
That's a good point. They don't bother me in the sense of I'm making myself wrong about it.
Okay.
And at the same time, it also means I'm not moving in the way that I'm desiring to move.
Right. So this to me feels less about that statement of your humanity is your divinity and more about choice. Right. If you're not emotionally reactive, if you don't need to get rid of it, if you've accepted it, it's all fine. You just want something else in your life. That tells me you're just not making the choice. Right. So there's a choice aspect. And then you say,
I am.
Well, if
but
you
I think I am, right?
Yeah. Well, if you think you are, but you're not getting it, then it means you're not.
Yeah.
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 So, let's do that. Let me, because this is more book work. I know for people that have worked with me, it's very easy to get into. All right, well, let's work on our stuff. we'll have other groups that we do work. But this is a good opportunity to talk about choice. The deciding factor of everything in your life can be summarized in one word: choice. Until you make a new choice and act on it, nothing will change. You cannot merely hope, daydream, fantasize, or desire and think it so. You must choose it. How do you know if you've done this? If you think, this is great. If you think you've made a new choice, but nothing has changed, you didn't actually make a new choice. is right there. At least I'm not perfect, but at least I'm consistent.
Okay.
The feedback you get from the evidence around you is the proof of choice. Thinking, assuming, stating, and proclaiming is not enough because we are great at conning ourselves. Most folks don't consciously choose. They are ran by their myths, shadow material, and further unconscious programs. This is why it's so easy to defend with, but I didn't choose that, because they legitimately aren't conscious of the choice. While this is fair, it's dangerously easy to use this as an excuse to play the victim and act helpless to our own mind. Not being aware of the choice and blaming it on a subconscious part of ourselves doesn't excuse us from the responsibility. Our subconscious is still us, thus it is still us who made the choice. A choice we make in the shadows and hide from ourselves is not any less of a choice than one we proclaim aloud to the world. And this ties right in with responsibility. You are responsible for where you're at in life. You are responsible for what you choose. You are responsible for how you perceive. You are responsible for feeling. If you are still stuck, it's because on some level, that's what you are choosing.
Yep, that hits the nail on the head, pretty much.
Yeah, we really like to make this stuff complicated. It's like we have to have everything in place. There has to be a modality. It's just like all this moving around, and it's not. It's you just stop and make a choice and go for it and do it. And that's why the feedback's so important, because that's what tells us. That's what lets us know whether we've made the choice or not. And then so the work comes in and, all right, well, why am I not choosing that? And what am I choosing instead? All right, so I talked about in the book about writing the book of the only way I knew that I chose to write this book was if it was in your hands and you're reading it. Otherwise, it would have just been me choosing to attempt to write a book. It would be me choosing a draft. It would be me choosing to do whatever, right? So it's a partial book. I choose to start it but not finish it book. So whatever actually happens, that's the choice. And you can make a new choice after that. Like, okay, the first choice was just to not do was to make a half book. And then you just make another, you say, well, I don't want that. I want a full book. Okay, well then all right, whoosh, new choice, write full book. Publish book. And that's why I said do it, right? It requires action. It requires you to actually do something. And along with perfection is a prison and making mistakes and doing it wrong, it's like just make the choices. Just screw up as fast as you can. It's going to get you to what actual choice you want to make and the place inside yourself to make it.
Okay, fine.
Okay. just speak up, anybody.
Well, I see a way where that ties back into the initial observation of your human is your divine, where there was a sense, Chi, when you were sharing that you tolerate what you were calling the imperfections, and that doesn't feel quite the same as really seeing that as the divine. So I wondered if there was some some possibility to turn toward them so they don't feel orphaned, and then maybe there's more freedom to move into that choice place.
I liked when you talked about the tolerating the divinity, those things.
Perfection.
It kind of sounds like you're tolerating God, right? You're tolerating the divine in a certain way, right? Because if we use the equation, we just map it out. What about life am I tolerating? What about myself? What about God? What about this whole process do I tolerate? Well, I tolerate whatever, which is different than accepting. Accepting doesn't mean allowing it to, like, let's necessarily say persist in your life, but you don't have the resistance.
Yeah, I think that's where I've been. It's just learning to accept that this is where I am. And I was hoping that would move the needle somehow and help me kind of move through it. Just not sure it's actually working. Maybe what I've been doing is tolerating instead of accepting. That's a fair point. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I was doing some cinesomatics around me having patience. And I was like, all right, show me patience. And it was like, okay. It was like I was doing all of these things, and what it literally showed was me being impatient. But in my mind, I thought I had to, like, I was impatient about it. So patience to me was trying to put up with what I was impatient about. And then I got feedback. It's like, that's not patience. That's tolerating. That's putting up with it. That's you actually being impatient and then trying to manage your impatience. Oh my God, yes, all right. So what is real patience? Because for me, impatience implied an intolerance. Just kind of like what was just said. So sometimes it's just those little kind of tweaks, awarenesses. Oh, yeah, we have our definitions of these might be a little skewed.
Thank you, Eliza.
Hi, Julie.
Oh, hi. Sorry, I'm a bit late. Into the meeting. Yeah. I find that I had no feeling for a long time. I couldn't feel for other people or even for myself. I couldn't let myself feel. I was numb. But it was because I had a lot of anger and frustration. I did blame other people, I guess, but it was me who was making it happen. I didn't admit it. Until I read your book and I realized it's me causing this. I didn't have it before, but I have it now.
Well,
And
listen. I've read my book too, and I still don't sometimes realize it was me. So, yeah.
And there's so much, so many parts that you don't realize you hide, and you don't think, I'm really good at that, but I wasn't really good at that. I didn't see that I was doing everything badly, nearly on purpose, so as I didn't have to connect with anyone fully, like give them anything, because I was scared. I had so much fear that they were going to take something each time, from me, or I wouldn't open up. I was a very logical person, I'm like an engineer, software developer, that sort of thing. And I'm into all this numbers, but I'm not an emotional person normally. So hugs, and that was not me initially. And feeling for other people, I always held back, but you have to just let yourself do it and then open up. Really helped me do those hugs, do those interactions, even if they feel bad the first time. But you know who you want to connect with then, because you find who's being true and who isn't, you know, and you only want to connect with people who are truthful and true, and you know, in the world in general, you know, discerning that for yourself and who you're comfortable with is something I really learned. Yeah.
Great. Thank you for
Keep
thank you for
moving forward. Yeah.
sharing.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Were you the one in the community we're talking about that chapter of the intellect and intelligence? Was that you or somebody else?
That was someone else movie.
Okay.
Yeah, that was someone.
All right.
Okay.
So how did you find that chapter on the hiding out in the intellect?
I find that very rewarding in that, you know, you use that as your barrier, yeah, to an extent your mind takes over when you don't want to feel, you know, what's happening or where you should be. You know, you're holding yourself back to some degree because you're thinking so much,
Yeah.
you know, that, you know, because you had past reason to. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, everyone. Yeah, thank you.
Well, just in time, we're going to wrap up. Anybody have anything else to share? Any last words before we wrap up? Nope. All right. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for joining. We'll do this again next week. Probably take a few of these to figure out the flow, and as we open this up to more people, we'll see how the dynamic goes. So this is just day one, the first time. It's going to get better each time after this. So thank you for your trust. Thank you for your willingness to show up. Thank you for your courage. Thank you all for getting the book and going through that process. And I look forward to seeing you on the community. If you have questions over the week, start jotting down or putting in the group any questions. And so it might make it easier, more fluid for us to have some set questions to go through, so no one has to feel on the spot or anything like that. All right, guys, thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Bye.